Hey everybody, we got another great video from Jacksboro, Texas adventure riders. We present Rockin. Avoid head-ons, ride to the right. By riding to the right, you have a better chance of avoiding head-ons in those turns. Keep an eye up, avoid accidents. We had a chance to get out last Saturday and go check out an off-road facility that had been used in the past for four-wheel drive events and ATV events. The terrain is pretty rough. We thought we'd go over and check it out and have a chance to go through there on the KLRs. Had a great time doing it. It was pretty warm that morning. We're just now coming into the facility. You'll hear us chattering in the background. Off to the right is an old railroad depot that came from a nearby community. Here's Matt's version of it. Trying to ride slow enough not to upset the cattle. Making the first turn. I had been in here several times, but it has been several years in the past, so I kind of had to look around. Things always seem to look different after you haven't been there for a while. I do remember those two trees. Lots of erosion that has taken place from the trails and the Jeeps running up and down. Of course, there's this nice gravel road that is going back over to service the windmill facilities. The road was originally over to our left where that pipeline is at. It has since been moved over. I'm discussing to myself and telling Matt, how things look different, because used to we've been over to the left and you have to bank over now, but there's a way to go around to the right. Anyway, we get started, and I was looking over. There's been someone doing some dozer work trying to clean things up. And these guys, we're looking at the rocks everywhere. Always nervous when you first come into the field to ride. You're not used to it. I'm coming off a gravel road and I see all these rocks and I'm like, wow, I'm going to wipe out. Put your feet down a little bit, go slow. Go across some open field here. We're looking at mesquite trees and I'm dodging mesquite thorns. I don't want to get a flat. It's a great morning for it though. The weather's beautiful. We're having a good time doing this. We're coming up into another section here, trying to make a decision. See the ruts and the erosion. Should have went to the right. Matt's going ahead. He went off ahead, banked off that way. I've got to get across this ditch here. Yeah, Matt's bike was running a little bit warm that morning. Like I said, there was no breeze in the bottom, and it just was really hot. My bike was running warmer than normal also, but then we're not sure his was actually hot, but we just didn't want to take any chances. Of course, I stopped in the sunlight. We were going to stop and let things cool off a little bit. He goes, why don't we go down here to the shade? I go, well, that's a great idea, Matt. In case you're wondering, the KLRs are a little bit heavy for this kind of terrain. I mean, we didn't have a lot of problems, but we were taking our time. We've got fairly aggressive rubber on the KLRs. And Matt's telling me I ought to get off in the middle of that, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Get down there, got more. Hey, look at this. This is great. My feet touched the ground. My knees were actually bent. If we hadn't stopped, I would have just went ahead and barreled through it, but after we stopped, we kind of had to get started again and evaluate. So it changes how you look at things. And talking about, years past, when I was down here jeeping, and, a friend of mine had run off doing that in the Jeep in this ditch. You can't see it to the right. It's actually a wash and a gully. It's full of water. I had to pull him out of it. It's really funny. Tell the pretty good little wash there. The front of the bike came up, as we come out. It gives you a little bit more perspective. When you're looking at it on these videos, it flattens everything out. I've watched these videos without having ridden some of this stuff, and you think, oh man, that's no problem. Well, wait till you get out there on it. You go to riding it. Your feet aren't touching the ground. The bike's leaning over, and you're trying to figure out how to hold these things up. And, you fall over every once in a while. We did not fall over this time. We were both amazed. Matt's hearing me chatter in the background thinking, I'm just trying to get through this ditch. Why don't you be quiet? He stalls his back a couple times. Yeah, I'm talking about that path, that other big gully up there. You can actually come out through that water if you know how to. I'm not going to be doing that on the KLR, at least not today. I'm trying to remember how things cut across and where they cut across. This section was actually, I probably was one of the first people to blaze through this. It was still really rugged. It's been years and years ago, but we were having an event down there, and I kind of saw an open spot in the trees and took off through it with my old Willis Jeep. And people kept following, and eventually it turned into kind of a path through here. And I'm kind of remembering that, sounds like. I've seen this really muddy down through here, and you didn't want to go through it.
Temperature dropping? Sandy over here.
Lots of terrain problems there, and off camber on the left and a big rock in the middle, and it worked out. That's all I can say. I was trying to, here I came to the fork in the road, the proverbial fork in the road. I thought, well, which way's better? It initially looked better off to the right, so we went that way. And it worked out. Got up here and you see, oh boy, lots of rock. Got some old poly pipe laying across the trail.
Alright, where's the pit?
Yeah, of course, it's always steeper than it looks in the video. Lots of loose, large rocks around. You just don't want to catch your front tire on that and have it go out from underneath you and just throw you on the ground. Because you're not going to fall. You're just going to get thrown on the ground. And it doesn't feel very well. And this was an old mud pit where everybody used to drive their four-wheel drive vehicles off into. And it was virtually impossible to go across the thing. It's dried out. Trying to evaluate how to get through that. So there used to be a trail up to where I'm headed here, but I couldn't find it. So it ended up just kind of easing down through here, looking things over. Matt stayed behind me. He ended up taking the better route. I'm going to go right up through that, beside that tree over there, which if you look at the altitude change, you can tell it's going to be a rather aggressive ride.
Falling down, or...
In case you're wondering, yes, I am somewhat out of breath. It's hot. Been working a little bit. The bike's even running out of breath. I've had to restart it again. I'm probably not feathering the clutch as much as I should. And I'm using a 16-tooth front sprocket, which I should not be doing. Look at this. Rocks. I thought, oh no. The bike has been running great since I finally got everything straightened out. Before I would have stalled it back there and it would have been a mess. Here's Matt's version, the way he went. He took the freeway. I'm going to be over there to the right. If you watch, you'll catch me coming across there in a moment. He had a great ride. He could have actually hung left a little bit more and avoided this rough terrain that he took, but he thought we were going to be going back the direction that I was headed initially. Yeah, I was asking if he got it on video. Trying to get our path out of here. This used to be really smooth years ago. Come around there. This is not concrete. This is a rock. Look at there's a ditch. There's a button up there. I probably said a few choice words when I saw that because I was coming around it a little bit fast. We're laughing as usual. Lots of oil field equipment left over from 50, 60 plus years ago. This used to be a powerhouse up here on the right-hand side or in this vicinity, I believe. And it had cables that ran all across the ground that ran to the pump jacks. And and used to pull these little old pump jacks up and down with cables, and they transitioned over time to electric motors, and eventually the wells all died off. You will see some foundation stuff on some of the videos as we go by them. Try to point that out. I think there's one coming up. Look at all these rocks. Call them baby head rocks because they're about the size of a baby's head. And they're just perfect to get underneath the tires and roll things around when you're not wanting them to. When it's rough. Just comment how smooth the tops of them were for people driving over them years of Jeep traffic, off-road traffic. Lots of mesquite trees through here. There's some foundation stuff there to the left.
I felt it give a little bit.
I love the way that KLR sounds with the muffler I have on it. It's a little bit loud at times, but it's really not overly annoying from where I'm sitting at. Matt tells me he can hear it when he's behind me, but it doesn't seem to bother him too much. I think he's going to put the same one on his. And they do make silencers that go in there. We may do that before we get out and ride in public a lot. Try to be friendly to everybody around. We're going to stop up here and take a break and get some water. I'll edit that out. But it's great when I take off. One of my moments. So as I take off, I decide I'm going to avoid that. Head over to the right. Look down. There's a rock right there in front of the tire. Yeah. Can't believe I didn't wipe out. Here's Matt's version. Look at this. Back end comes off the ground. Look at the rock there in there by his elbow, between the back and his arm. I drove over it a long ways. Oh, I just didn't see it. I went like, oops. I saw it, but I didn't really see it. Yeah, that's what I said. Oh, I did say that. Yeah, I had to edit out a little bit of audio there. I made some comments about how when I landed I might have injured myself. Heading back up the same path that we came in on initially, you'll recognize that by looking to the right and seeing the pipe running down the old road. There's lots of stuff in here to go see. We just barely touched the trails in there today. We're going to hang over here and kind of take a gander at one of these windmills. Not everybody gets to see those, especially this close. See the blades coming around on top of the ground, the shadow. Someone in there actually servicing this one. And we rode down there and started back. There's where we crossed the road initially at from the old depot building. I'm trying to remember that. I knew there was paths up in here. There used to be lots of parking where you see travel trailers and people camping and kind of a staging area. And of course, during the events, the grass and stuff gets beat down. But I knew there was another road. I just couldn't remember where it was at. And things look different because of this gravel road. When I first went this place initially years ago, this does not exist. And here's the trail we were looking for. Somebody's left an old travel trailer in there, a piece of equipment, and there's a caravan from, I don't know how old it is, the 80s, early 90s. It said awesome on the back of it. We got a chuckle out of that. Hey guys, this pretty much concludes the video. Glad you joined us today. We did about 2 miles in this facility, or this piece of property, in about 45 minutes. Avoid head-ons, ride to the right if at all possible. It's a great way to protect yourself and others. You never know who's going to be coming around that corner. Another Poorly Done Productions from the Jacksboro, Texas Adventure Riders. Thanks for checking in with us. We'll have more videos in the future.